Hello Ranger Point Precision friends and family. Today we have got a beautiful little Winchester 94. This is wearing the Ranger Point Precision Costa handguard. Got a nice little red dot on there, keeping this thing light and easy to acquire. Of course, it's got our mod stock on it as well. But of course, while I was doing that work, I noticed there was a little bit of corrosion in here in our interaction there. So for reasons of YouTube, we can disassemble this and clean it and maintain it. That's within their rules, and sometimes you have to remind them. But of course, after we go back, what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to install this bin 11. This is a Winchester 94 loop that has been black nitrated, and boy is it nice. I never have felt a piece of metal that feels so soft to the fingers. By the time this is tumbled and black nitrated, it just has a really nice feel. And of course, it's embossed with the nice little Ranger Point RP right there. So let's go ahead and bust this thing apart. We'll bust some of this corrosion out and get our nice little lever loop in there. It's going to be nice. So what you're going to need is some screwdrivers. You don't have to have anything as fancy as this Wheeler set, but you will need the appropriate screwdrivers. You are going to need some type of block, which I like this. Is nothing but a hockey puck. You will need a punch. Alternatively, from the block, you can actually use a rag. When we knock this one pin out, that rag will work just as well. And then we'll need a hammer, and we'll need just a little bit of lube to get in here and get this thing cleaned up and maintained. So let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, you owe it to yourself and the others around you to make sure that it is unloaded. So there we go. We have safety checked our weapon. It is unloaded. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So we're going to roll this over. We've got a couple of screws we're going to have to remove. The first one is going to be this plate right here. Found a nice fitting screwdriver tip. We're going to take this screw out. So we're going to take that and set this aside. Then we've got to take this plug out. This plug right here, let's see how that tip. That fits a little loose. Let's go ahead and use, nope, that one's too big. We always want to find the right fitting one. That way we don't booger up our screw. And then we can even actually, if we use too wide of one, we can scratch our bluing, and we don't want to do that. I don't mind scratching a gun while I'm hunting. I just don't want to scratch a gun when it can be avoided. So we're going to take this plug. You can see that right there. We're going to set it aside. Allergies get me just a little bit. You can probably hear my voice is a little screwy. But then next, what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to take a punch, and we're going to knock this little pin out the back. So now we've got that little pin that comes out from where the hole where we pulled the plug, that comes out. So here we go. So we've got our punch right here, or our pin right there. And that pin is just machined to hold it in there. So what we're going to wind up doing is we'll take our hockey puck, we'll put this over the groove in the hole, and we're going to take our punch. You can see I'm placing my punch right there on it. And stay on the thing. So there we go. So now what I've done was I let that pin just stay in this other side. I wanted it to stay there. It's a forced fit, so it'll stay there and it'll make itself its own guide when we're going back. So now we do have a little bit of rust on the inside of this. I'm going to go ahead and oil this up, and then we're going to stick our new lever in here and rock and roll. So while we've got the levers out, this will show you the profile of the two levers. Of course, the bigger lever is going to be your Ranger Point Precision. That's bin 11. And then we've got our factory lever. So you get just a little bit more room in there for your fingers, whether you're gloved or whatever. And of course, it's going to look just a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and set this one aside, the factory one. We'll set it aside for prosperity's sake. We're going to label it and put it in the a baggie so that it will stay to where we can turn this thing back to factory if we ever choose to. So of course, let's go ahead and do the opposite of the removal. So that one just hammered straight down without the punch. We'll just hammer it until it's flush. We're actually flush on both sides. You can see right there, if we can get it to focus. So both sides of that are flush. So now let's go ahead and run this thing back home. Some of you guys are probably fussing that I didn't take this thing all the way down, but hey, if we can save a couple steps and get back to enjoying our day, let's do it. So there we go, we are ready. So now I am going to start getting my screws back. I want my first long screw for our hinge plate here. We're going to put that in. We're going to get the corresponding screwdriver tip. Boom, there we go. Now we're going to need to get everything all lined up, get our bolt lined up, get our lever lined up in there, and get our pin reinstalled. So we've got our pin that'll go back in. Now you'll notice this has got a little bit of a bevel. That bevel, as you're going back, will help you keep everything lined up. So we're just going to take and push that in there. Let's make sure we got it. Boom, we've got it. Now we're going to take our plug. That plug right there is what keeps that pin held captive. We'll go ahead and run it down with the appropriate screw tip. Boom. So let's go ahead and cycle this thing and see how it feels. That feels really nice. I like it. Like I said, we got just a little bit of a larger loop, and the install takes really no time. So yes, this thing is ready to go for another hunting season. Thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, go check us out, Ranger Point Precision.